Hi, I'm the Rick in Rick Turns, and this is the second video in my series of videos about how to make this tool rest for your wood turning lathe. Today I want to talk about tools, and I want to show you the different tools that you're going to need to make this. So let's go over to the workbench. Alright, let's start off with a cutting tool. Now there's several things that you could use to cut the steel rod and the steel angle iron with. Of course, one of them is a hacksaw. Slow, but it'll eventually get there. Or you could use what I use, and that is an angle grinder. This is a 4.5-inch angle grinder. This is a cutting wheel. You can see how thin it is. It's about 1/16 of an inch thick. And of course, the angle grinder fits into the business end of this tool. The cutting wheel fits into the angle grinder just like this. Fairly quick to change blades on it, and it's pretty easy to use. The cutting wheel is going to be what you use most for this project. Got to cut 1-inch steel bar, got to cut angle iron, which if you use what I use is either going to be 3/16 or 1/4 inch thick, and probably 2 inches by 2 inches on the angle. And then you'll have a wear strip, which is only 5/16 or 1/4 inch steel, and that'll cut pretty easy with a hacksaw, but cuts even easier with this. The other thing you need when you're using this angle grinder is an abrasive disc like this. Now this is called grinding and polishing flap disc. As you can see, it's got all of these flaps of coarse sandpaper on it. This is about a number 60. I would suggest getting this one. It also comes in 40, which is coarser, comes in 80, which is finer, and 120. This is typically what I use, 60 grit. And the reason for even having it, first of all, is to get some of the coating off of the steel that it might have on there from the store. And secondly, after you've done some brazing on the steel, it's going to look pretty gross. It's going to have some kind of scale on it and droplets of the silver braze in various places, things like that. So it's really just to clean it up with. But it makes it a lot easier to do it with the angle grinder and this. If you try and do it by hand, it's going to take a while. These little cutting wheels here are fairly inexpensive. They started around $2 for the 4.5-inch size, which is what this is. This is a 4.5-inch grinder. And then they go up from there depending on the quality and so forth. The little grinding and polishing flap disc here, for some reason, is more expensive. I guess it's more difficult to manufacture, but this runs about $7, at least over at Home Depot. Home Depot and Amazon are my source for pricing estimates. If you don't have one of these grinders, to me it looks expensive. When I bought it, it was $50. You can buy this same thing at Amazon now for about $33.50, which I think is a really good deal. You can also go to Home Depot, and they have angle grinders starting at $30. And of course, you can go as expensive as you want to. Let's talk about heating equipment, brazing equipment. No getting around it. You got to have something that's going to heat the metal up. There's several things you can use here. I've used this one and this one. I've used this one as a secondary torch before, but I got to tell you, I don't think you're going to be able to do this with just a propane torch. I have never tried to do it with only a propane torch, but my use of this, even as a secondary torch, did not make me think it would work by itself. It doesn't burn hot enough. Now, the next step up is to go to a MAPP torch. MAPP gas, strictly speaking, isn't made anymore. They're calling it by a different name now. They discontinued the actual MAPP gas. Now this manufacturer calls it MAPP Pro. I think it's pretty similar. Anyway, this is what I used for probably at least half of my tool rest when I made them. This is just a plain vanilla MAPP torch. This is a self-igniting handle. That is pretty nice to have. But overall, while this will get the job done, it's going to take a while. I have spent at least 30 to 40 minutes probably on a tool rest getting it hot with a MAPP torch. And generally what I'll have to do is do it in about 3 different sections. I hold the torch in one place for a while until the metal finally begins to glow red hot. And then I'll put the brazing metal up against it and braze that section. Then I'll shift around to another side, do it again, and probably have to shift around one more time and heat up another section. That's not real desirable. It does work, and you can still get a very strong joint out of it. I've used the early tool rests that I've made for quite a few years. Had no problems with them at all. Nevertheless, it does take a while. Now what I'm using now, and I don't think I'll ever go back to using just a plain MAPP torch. This is a MAPP Oxy, or Oxy-MAPP torch kit. Worthington makes this. This one I think is sold by Burns-O-Matic, which I think might be a division of Worthington. Not real sure about that. But this uses an oxygen tank, mixes it with these valves here, and you get a much hotter burning flame than you get with just the plain vanilla MAPP torch. The difference is pretty significant. With this torch, I can heat and braze the full tool rest in maybe 10 minutes. With this torch, it would take me 30 minutes to 40 minutes, possibly even longer, depending on my setup. This is more expensive, of course. There's always a drawback, isn't there? There's a couple of aspects of the cost to consider. Your standard MAPP tank here is about $10, and it lasts forever. I'm not sure how long I've had this one on here. I think I've made about 4 tool rests already with this one MAPP tank. This one I don't really use that much anymore since I switched over to this type. But it's about $10 for a replacement MAPP tank. The oxygen, on the other hand, although it's about the same price for what looks to be a similar size, whereas the MAPP's going to last a long time, perhaps measured in hours. The oxygen's going to last a short time, I would say measured in tens of minutes. I consider myself lucky if I get 20 minutes out of this. I think 15 is more likely. I haven't actually measured it completely. The manufacturer says 20 to 30 minutes. Frankly, I don't believe that. I think it's less than that. But of course, it's going to depend on your usage. There's different settings or configurations for the flame you get out of this, depending on whether you're brazing or attempting to weld or cut steel or whatever. So the drawback of this kit is the oxygen cylinders don't last long. They're still $10 a piece though. So you'll go through a number of oxygen cylinders just for one of these MAPP gas cylinders. The other disadvantage of it is the initial cost is more. For this kit here, I think Home Depot is carrying this right now at about $42, $43, something like that. It's not a bad price. This kit here, the cheapest I found for it online is about $60. So a difference of $20 for this versus this, that's not too bad, because this is, at least in my mind, much preferable. Faster to use, easier to use. So look around online if you decide to go this route. I wasn't able to find this. Well, yes, I was. Amazon has this for like $120. That seems excessive. The best price I found on it was from Tractor Supply for $60. And then a place called Zorro, ZORO.com, had this kit for $76. In spite of the higher initial cost and the higher cost for materials here, I really think this is the way you ought to go if you're going to do this. But if money's an issue, this is going to be cheaper in the long run. Now there's one other thing you're going to need for making these tool rests, and that is this. Now this is the filler material for silver brazing. And you can see the name here is Safety Silv 56. This is relatively expensive, anywhere from $30 to $40 for this package. And this package was 1 troy ounce. Even accounting for mistakes, having to do things over, learning how to use it, this little package of 1 troy ounce of silver brazing filler is going to last you a while. I would say quite a handful of tool rest from that one package. If you look at one of the home improvement stores for this product, silver brazing material, I don't think you're going to find it. I got this online. Amazon does have it. I found a better price at another store online. I think it was called Airgas, and ordered from them. Now, if you go to Home Depot, Lowe's, home improvement stores, you're going to see a bunch of different solders, and don't buy them, even if they say silver solder. Home Depot does have one that says silver solder on it. That is not what you want. It does not have enough silver in it to do the job. I've tried using it before thinking, hey, maybe this will be cheaper and it'll work. Well, didn't work at all. When you're looking for silver brazing material, make sure it has at least 45% silver content. This one is 56. The more silver content in it you have, I think the better it's going to work. I think I used 45% on earlier tool rest, and that worked okay. This was available and I bought it. So be sure and watch out for that. The other thing to watch out for, and you're probably not going to have the option, but don't get a silver brazing material that has cadmium in it. I believe it's been generally discontinued because of safety concerns. But if you could see this right here, it says on it somewhere, cadmium free. So watch out for that. All right, another thing you're going to need to build it the way that I build it is a tap. So this is a metal tap right here. This is for a 1024 NC thread, I believe it's called. These are not too expensive. This is a high-speed steel metal tap, and that's what you want to look for when you get it. I would strongly suggest buying the tap and the matching drill bit as a set. Now, Home Depot and Amazon and other places, they carry these in little blister packs. The tapping bit and the matching drill bit. Otherwise, the drill size specifically for these tapping bits is usually one of the numbered drills. Now, you can still get pretty close to it with one of the fractional drills, like, I don't know, 3/32 or something like that. But if you buy them like this in a blister pack, you're going to get exactly the right drill bit. Just don't get it mixed up with your other drill bits. The other thing you're going to need with the tap is a handle. These are inexpensive. They run $5 and up at various places. These, incidentally, the tap and matching drill bit started around $5 and go up from there. So you need a handle to hold this so that you can drive it in. The bit just fits right inside here. And then you tighten down this little knob here, and that holds it tight. And then you turn it into the material, and we'll see how to do that a little bit later. There's one other tool that you might need. This is much more optional than the other ones. This is a centering bit. As you can see, it's got a very thick shaft and a very short shaft. This is for drilling a starting hole in the end of the tool post so that you can then drill the larger hole for the tap. Now, I found this to be really, really useful because it is hard to get that initial larger hole going in the end of the tool post. The drill bit wants to skate around a little bit, even if you knock a dimple in it with metal punch or something. So if you use this first and you drill a small hole, and I would suggest also drilling that chamfer right there a little bit, it makes it easier to get that drill bit going and drill the full-size hole. You can do this with a handheld electric drill. It'll be a little more difficult. You just have to be more careful with it. You can do it with a drill press, which is what I use. You can also do it on your lathe, though, if you've got a Jacob's jug for the lathe. And when we get to that section in the videos, I'll demonstrate both doing it on the drill press and doing it on my lathe. Stay tuned for my next video in the series about how to build this tool rest. And the next video is going to be about materials, the different pieces of steel that you're going to need to make this, and where to buy them, and what to look for. See you then.